Hi guys, welcome to the first edition of the EPL Showdown. Here we'll be talking about football. We'll be discussing about the results. We'll be previewing games. We'll be predicting. We'll be talking about fantasy football. Meet the lads. Here we have Vedang Shastri. He supports Arsenal. We have Jeet Shah. He supports Chelsea. We have another Chelsea fan, Sahaj Mehta. We have Vinamra Sarogi. He supports United. Uh, we have Manan Gandhi. He supports Spurs, and we have Dino Saigal. He supports Liverpool. And me, I support City. Jaden Fernandez. Let's go, boys. So, guys,
Let's go.
football's finally back. After 3 months,
Let's go.
football's finally back. I swear the wait was too long in it. But it's finally back. Premier League announces that we're back 17 June. So then let's get right into the fixtures and in it. So the first
Let's
fixture.
go.
First fixture. City versus Arsenal. Shastri. Let's have it, boys. Let's have it.
So it's going to be controversial me saying this, but Arsenal were on a decent run of form pre-pandemic. They were
Okay,
doing
how do you define decent?
improvement. The improvement in performances. They dominated Chelsea for one half at least at the Emirates before the fitness levels ran out. Slowly, you could see on the pitch improvements. The players are doing what the manager wants. They're dominating teams instead of sitting back with Unai Emery taking 38 shots against Watford. This time, actually shooting the ball a little. So there was improvement. You could see some positives coming. We won our last few games. We're not doing so bad in the FA Cup. So it's positive, and the reports coming out from the camp during pandemic is that Arsenal players are fit. Like coming from David Onsley, all these Arsenal players are ready to go. Everyone's really fit. So I can predict a performance. I won't be predicting a win, but I can predict a decent fight put up by Arsenal as compared to the last two seasons.
So let's just analyze Arsenal season till now. So with Mikel Arteta coming into the mix, how do you think Arsenal has performed since Mikel Arteta arrived?
So everyone expects a new manager to come and take how Ole
Mm-hmm.
Gunnar Solskjaer came. The first 3 months go unbeaten, just go on a rampage. But that didn't happen
Mm-hmm.
because Arsenal were so out of shape physically and mentally under Unai Emery that they didn't have all the resources ready to play in the way people want them to play. So it was underwhelming when he came. We drew games, we lost games. But as of late, you could see there are big performances coming. That they dominated
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea for a half. They dominated United for the whole 90 minutes when we played them at the Emirates. And there are signs of improving quality of football, as you see it. So it was really bad at the start. The first 6 months of the season were horrible. I never wish it on any football fan ever. But things are looking up. Things are looking up.
Are you optimistic of the fact that Arteta has a chance to implement Pep's style of play in Arsenal?
I am because he's basically trained under the best coach in the world at this point, one of the
Mm-hmm.
best. And
Mm-hmm.
you can see the way he talks, the way he speaks about the club, the way he speaks about football itself. You can tell how passionate he is and what style of play he wants from the players. He wants discipline. He wants a structure of playing. So I am very optimistic that he's the man who came into Arsenal and not anyone else.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this game. Do you think Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe, if they start, would prove any trouble to the City defense, which is probably already shaky, but never know.
Two players who I think can provide big trouble is Aubameyang and Pepe. Lacazette's been not on the greatest run of form, but on his day he can. But Pepe's been comparatively, people will debate this, but he's been good. He can have fullbacks on strings. He can go past the player, and he sometimes can have a final ball. And especially if Zinchenko is playing, I believe he can take him on relatively well as compared
Zinchenko,
to
to be
Mendy.
fair, I don't think so. Zinchenko would be playing. I think we would have Mendy.
Mendy. So
Mendy would
I
be there.
think I think
Mendy.
Pepe can cause trouble. It depends on his mood. If he's in the mood for that final pass which he's not been giving, he can do it. But I don't know. I think Obama is the only real goal threat from our side as of this point.
What about the
And let's
youngsters in Bukayo
yeah, go.
Saka or
So
Reece Nelson? Even they seem to get
Gabriel
a nod over
Martinelli.
Martinelli as well.
I'm assuming for a fixture this big, coming back from a 3 month break, Teta will go for
Mm-hmm.
experience over the youngsters, especially with Tierney fit now. So I'm assuming he will start as left back. So that takes Saka out
But
of the
then you have
team.
to, at the same time, when you're taking fitness into consideration, you'll have another fixture on Saturday, I guess, if I'm not wrong, against
Yeah.
Burnley.
Oh,
Yeah,
Brighton.
so
Brighton.
against Brighton, yeah. So you all might want to rotate and
So I
probably
think
might field some young players.
for the first game, he's going to go, I think, with our strongest team. Because the first game needs our strongest team. It's against a big team. So he's going to go for an experienced team with good character in the midfield. Ozil, I don't know if he'll start. I don't think he should start. But it'll be more experience over youngsters, at least for this first game.
And let's
Okay,
talk about
Shastri.
Arsenal defense. एक second.
No, I have a question.
हाँ बोल दे.
Shastri, as we all know, this season Arsenal has been troubled a lot by defensive problems.
Yeah.
So, according to you as an Arsenal fan, what do you feel is the ideal defensive combination for particularly City game because of City's very, very potent attack? So, what do you think is the best combination
So
for their defense?
for right now, our best defensive four will be Bellerin, Luis, either Mari or Mustafi and Tierney. But Mari, I've seen him play only once. He's not played a lot. But it feels like Arteta's going to implement him into the team over somebody else because he really wanted a left-footed centre back for that left centre back role. So it more
But
feels
wait,
like
what about
Mari and Luis.
what about Socrates?
He's had not the greatest season. He's been quite poor, and he doesn't have the best ball playing ability. He's not pressure proof. He gives the ball away easily. Luis knows distribution. You saw him his assist against Everton to Aubameyang. He can break through the lines as well. So we need him two ball playing centre backs who are capable of actually distributing over the front line of the team instead of just passing it away to them.
Yeah, but in the recent game against Brentford, I mean, you saw David Luiz' game, right? He was the one who had the mistake, isn't it?
Let's just put that down to sloppiness and people being rusty, I guess. But if we need him, that he's been our best centre back this season, and without
it
him,
would be annihilation. To be fair, it would be annihilation.
Oh, but the thing
It
is,
can be. It can be. We can't make the same mistakes against City.
the other ones are worse. Mustafi is worse, 1,000 times worse. Even Socrates is worse. So I think they have to play David Luiz, however injury.
Yeah,
mistake
like
prone.
whatever you say about the other ones, he's been our best centre back, so we can't really have a back four without him.
You mean the best
And
among the
that's
worst?
saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak much about defense from an Arsenal fan's position, but he's the best we've got.
Shastri, I have a question. So, the 5 substitutes rule is going to benefit a lot of teams having good squad depth and stuff. So, I wanted to ask, like, for example, City will get players like Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Jesus from the substitutes ka bench. So, I want to ask, which players do you feel might be impactful for Arsenal from the bench?
Off the bench, it's going to be the youngsters because a lot of our youngsters have had breakthrough seasons. So you have Saka who's performing very well. You have Reece Nelson who's doing decent. He's not in the worst. You have Martinelli who's very explosive. So they'll be the difference in our substitutes because they bring energy, they bring passion, they bring drive. It's something sometimes our senior players don't bring. So off the bench, you want these young players to come and bring pace, power, passion into the game. So I think they'll be the biggest cause of trouble later on in the game.
And moving forward, related to Arsenal's defense, I think Saliba will join for next season.
Yeah.
So, do you feel if Arsenal sign a good, decent enough right back, their back for next season might be a good young one in Tierney, Mari, Saliba, and a new right back if they could sign?
Yeah, so Bellerin, I still believe in him, even though he's not had the best season. He's come back from injury late. But we do need like a backup right back. Right now, Socrates is our second right back because Maitland-Niles has gone to midfield. So a good second backup choice right back. And Saliba, I think he's still young. His record is very good in France, but he's still really young. So you still need a more established centre back to come in. And then maybe he can work his way into the team if he's really that good. So there's still a way to go.
So do you think it's time for Arsenal to move on from defenders like Socrates, Mustafi, probably Holding? I know he's young, but
Rob Holding is very divisive in my mind. Like he performed very well under Emery for his first half of the season. But the thing is, ever since his injury, he's come back, he's been really rusty. And I don't think Arsenal can anymore hold on to players hoping that they fulfill their potential. We've too long held on to players who don't do as well in the future years, and we take leftovers from other teams like Louise. We never actually go for the prime defender, which we really need right now. And I think Arsenal really need to invest money into the defense and not just wait for players to come in from other clubs.
So Shastri, I don't know. There has been a lot of speculation around Arsenal's transfer budget, and there's been a lot of thought saying that the owners don't reinvest as much in the club. So what is the exact scenario? I mean, I still
Coming
haven't.
from a United fan.
Yeah. So from what I know, Arsenal are trying to follow the model of like a sustainable model. We spend as much as we get in. So the owners doesn't really put as much money from the owner doesn't put any money from outside into transfers at least. But as of late, the pandemic dictates that the owner needs to put in money. We need injection from somewhere else because we don't have the same money, and we can only raise money through player sales, and our players aren't worth that much. We don't have players who get in big cash inflow unless we sell like some of our top youngsters right now. So financially,
Yeah, so-
Arsenal are weaker compared to the top six, and we can just hope that the owner will put in some money.
Yeah, so just to add on to that, so there were some reports that said that Arsenal and maybe Spurs might only be able to sign players on loan this summer because it's unlikely that the owners will pump in money, and unless they fund big money moves via selling, they might not be able to sign stars. So do you see this as a cause of important players for Arsenal, such as Aubameyang, leaving just for the sake of money?
So about the media, last season they were adamant that we had a 45 million budget, and Arsenal bought
Right.
a good bunch of players. They bought Saliba, they bought Tierney, they bought Pepe. So I don't think the media really knows. I think that it's always speculation about clubs. Last season, everyone was adamant that Pepe is not coming. We can't afford him. There's no way in hell we'll get him. But we still got the money to get him, even though it's in installments. Most clubs pay in installments. So I don't think the media really knows. But at the same time, I'm not confident that we have a lot of money either.
Right.
Do you think Leno has been the best keeper in the Premier League this season?
He hasn't been the best. I think Alisson has been the best, but he's been among the best. People slate him a lot for being an Arsenal goalkeeper, but he's been a top keeper in the Premier League, at least
Nah,
top five.
I wouldn't think he's among the best either.
I think I would
There
say
are the
better than
likes of
Henderson,
Pope,
if I'm being honest.
Henderson,
He-
Pope,
He
Henderson.
does make a lot of saves though.
Bro, the thing is, he's
is-
like all players. He's a good player, but he's too mistake prone. He makes
I mean-
mistakes in games that a keeper at his level probably shouldn't make, but he's young and
No, but we discussed
be-
this before. I know we've discussed
You know
this
what?
before. A lot of his
You know
mistakes
what?
that have been put to his name are from last season. They're not this season.
Yeah.
He's barely made any.
What I feel is, yeah, I agree with Shastri on that. I think this season he's actually been. I think he's
we need
full.
to win better than that.
This
I think
season,
that's a fair comparison. De
I
Gea at
think-
one point was the best keeper in
I
the
mean,
world.
this season I can probably confidently say that he has exceeded his expectations, Leno, and some of the saves he's made. I mean, some of the points he saved for Arsenal are actually probably more than what De Gea has saved for United. So, in
So
terms
you
of-
didn't answer the question. Has he been better than Dea?
This season, yeah, he has.
I think he has, in some ways, he has been.
Okay, that takes something coming from a United fan.
Yeah,
Season I can agree. I mean,
that's
De
big.
Gea
That's big.
has been in the worst form since his breakthrough season. Season
We should
particularly.
shift the focus more to City now. There's been enough Arsenal grilling.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk City in it.
Okay, now moving on to City. Jaden, tell me, what do you think of the season so far? You would have thought that they would give a good run for their money against Liverpool. They'll be top two. They might even win the title. They haven't. They've been
To be fair, with the coming of Rodri in, I expected us to challenge for the league again because I mean Fernandinho was aging, so I expected us to challenge for the league. But then after the first defeat at Spurs, and then not defeat, I mean we drew at Spurs, and then we lost to Norwich. I mean from that point onwards, I mean it was pretty clear. Even though we had a kind of a winning streak, it was pretty clear that this season probably won't be our season. And then just before the lockdown, I mean we are actually moving forward more. We are actually paying more attention to the Champions League this season, I feel. And even before the lockdown, we lost to United. That was pretty sad. But yeah, I mean, this season has been more of lackluster. I mean, It was more of complacency, I would believe.
Yeah, Jaden. So my question to you is: do you think City is not playing as well as we expect them to because of Pep not being the tactical genius he is this season, or do you think it's because of the loss of personnel in Laporte or
I
Fernandinho
mean,
getting
Perez,
set?
yeah.
Sane
it's
also.
it's obvious. It's obvious that Laporte was missed a lot. But to be fair, it was we had Otamendi, we had Stones, but they weren't that good. And plus, company had left also. So there was a void which was formed in defense. And to be fair, that void is difficult to fill with company being a leader. It was actually difficult to fill because of that. And even Pep, I mean, he has been good. I mean, I'll defend him. He has been pretty good. But with some results, his formations have been questionable, honestly.
What do you think has Pep lacked in terms of in the
I mean,
technical?
sometimes when the teams are very defensive, he'll feel Jesus instead of Aguero. I mean, although that's purely rotational, sometimes he'll bench De Bruyne, even though he's completely fit for no reason. I mean, benching your best player, even there's no fixture, it doesn't make any sense. But even then, probably it's because of a tactical thing. But it doesn't make too much sense to me.
Do you feel like Arteta's exit has been a reason?
To be fair, no, because I've seen that All or Nothing documentary, and he does take into consideration assistant manager's views, but Arteta didn't. I mean, he did contribute, but it was more of Pep, more of helping him understand stuff of the game. I would believe.
You spoke about Rodri being a source of optimism for City, but do you think
Yeah.
Rodri did the job as well as Fernandinho did?
No, Rodri. I mean, he's still learning. He's what 21, 22, I think 23, probably at most. He's still learning. I mean, Fernandinho is 35 and he's still running, still at the top level. So Rodri has a lot to learn. I mean, he has a City blood in him. I mean, I know that. From the day he joined, it was pretty clear that he's a City guy. But he still has places to improve in. He gives the ball away sometimes too much.
Fernandinho's both.
So, Jaden,
Hmm.
so a lot has been made of Foden coming through the ranks at City.
Hmm.
Guardiola not giving him the amount of chances which someone would have hoped for, a City fan would have hoped for. So, as a City fan, do you feel that Pep is justified in making this choice of not playing him as much, and that harming his development? And one more thing is, do you think he should make a loan move to get that playing time which he deserves for his own development?
So Foden, I believe, is he's right now pretty young. I mean, Pep he follows a thing of that bring them through the ranks, play them towards the end, play them in cup competition. He has been getting playing time. Honestly, he has been getting a lot of playing time. Not too much. I mean, he doesn't start games and stuff, but cup games, yeah, he has been getting a little bit exposure. So the thing is that David Silva is leaving next season, so there's definitely going to be a void. So I believe that Phil Foden is there for the long term, and he's going to definitely replace David Silva. Hopefully, I mean, touch wood. Let's hope it happens. But even then, Phil Foden, it's a process, I believe, for him to come into the first team, and he's almost there, I believe.
Replacing a player of David Silva's caliber will obviously be tough.
Yeah, it would be tough, but at the same time, I feel Phil Foden has it in him. He's a young guy, and he's from Manchester itself, isn't it? So I feel he has it. He has it in him.
I just wanted to know your stance on the ban. On what do you think is in store
Yeah, the
future
ban.
for Pep and the big top players who would expect to play UCL football every year? So,
Yeah, so recently, De Bruyne made a comment. I mean, he said he would reevaluate his things if the ban stands. I mean, the owners have maintained a pretty positive stance on it, motivated the players that this ban is going to go and stuff. But it's up to the CAS, I believe. The CAS has the ultimate power to rule it out or something. But I mean, it is an optimistic view in the camp. I mean, obviously, it will. The outside news does affect your club, anyhow. But I believe that the owners have done a pretty good job in still keeping a positive outlook towards this whole situation.
But then, do you fear players like Kevin De Bruyne leaving, maybe
Yeah, I
Edison
mean,
leaving?
it's sad. It's sad that it would probably happen. But
For 1 year,
the
I
club
think.
has. Yeah, it would be for 1 year at most. But 1 year or 2 years. I think it's 2 years right
It's 2 years
It's 2 years, but I
maximum.
Yeah, it
think
is 2
they'll
years. 2
get it
years.
down to 1 year.
now. 1 year. It depends what happens. It depends on the thing. So De Bruyne leaving would obviously hurt a lot. It would hurt a lot. But at the same time, in the 18-19 season, we didn't have De Bruyne for the most part of the season. But key players leaving. I get your point that key players might leave. But then again, if they leave, cash comes in, cash goes out as well. We'll buy someone else.
But then, key players might not be willing to join City if they cannot participate in Europe.
Then we'll have probably no option but to promote.
So, do you feel like this ban has come at the worst time possible, wherein you were actually moving quite quickly up the ladder, and now?
I wouldn't say worst time. Players are quite good players are still there. Bernardo, I feel, would stay. Some good players would actually stay, even though the ban is there. Some players actually will stay. We could actually compete for top 4 in case the ban still stands. We would be the likes of probably Arsenal, but we'll still be there.
When is Pep contracted till?
He's
One more
till
year.
2021, next year.
He'll say, I don't think he'll stay. I
There's a
think
high
he's
possibility.
I would think that he's actually thinking of moving on right now. We are looking at options right now.
I think if City does go on to win the Champions League this year, if it happens, then I think Pep might move on.
Yeah.
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 Probably.
But then, equally, if the ban is upheld, he does not have any reason to stay again.
He's
I
won
think
everything
nobody
he has
wants
to
to-
win in domestic
He has
leagues.
much to prove in any other leagues in the world. He's won everything at Spain. He's won everything.
He'll go
at
to
his
Italy,
own.
I'm assuming.
Italy.
That's the
No,
last
I
place he
guess
has to
so.
do.
No, I
I
mean,
don't
I read a
think
report
kind of
where
football
which
that
said
effort.
that which
You
said
have
that
to
he
move on.
wants to go into international management. So that
Yeah.
I don't
That is
think
also
he's still
true.
young. I think that's more like that should be a
Yeah.
retirement plan for managers because it's a very less labor job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needed.
Yeah.
And again, if he goes international, he'd want Spain. And Spain have Luis Enrique right now, which they probably will not depart with.
Yeah.
Probably in the longer term.
I think he
Ajay,
would go to Juventus.
Feel about the match against Arsenal.
Yeah, predictions, Felix. What do you think is going to happen?
I would say we would go for an attacking lineup. Even though we have a double game week, we would actually go for a big attack. Sane would play, I feel. I hope that he plays.
He
And
might
he
leave.
not just come
Aguero-
back from a long-term injury straight
Yeah.
into the lineup.
So he was scheduled to be back in somewhere in Feb or March. So I'm guessing that he's back in full training. I've seen pictures of him training. So I guess he's fully fit right now. So I
How,
hope
like-
that he starts.
Mm.
So and overall, I feel that Arsenal wouldn't be. On a good day, we would actually get them good. But I don't know. This is after post-lockdown, so we can't actually predict the form too much. It just sets a benchmark for the future games. So I hope that we get a positive result in this one.
And at the same time, I don't think any team is going to be at peak fitness for their first match at least. So nobody's going to have such a high rhythm. Nobody's going to have any sort of flow. You can see from Bundesliga, teams are rusty still. So you have to give it like a good 2-3 games before everyone's up to peak fitness to play the remainder of the season.
That's true.
Shall we move on then to the
All right.
big
The
one.
next big fixture that we have is Spurs versus United. Let's get right
Yeah.
Get in.
into it. So, United. So this is Mourinho's coming back to his former club. How do you feel, Vinamra?
I have
Mourinho, the ex-enemy.
not enemy as such, but I mean it was coming the sack. So I don't have any feelings towards him. I mean, I'm indifferent to it. To him coming back. I mean, it's going to be a game of football. So it's not-
All right, let's talk about the big thing everyone's talking about on Twitter. Pogba, Bruno. Do you think the link-up would be
Oh.
good?
Acha, I just
Pogba,
wanted to
bro.
apologize to everyone behalf of our fan base, if you have seen any past comments, poor comparisons, I'm sorry. I
Hey,
get
Vinny, but they lose in the friendly.
sorry.
They lost in the friendly, no?
They lost one game, yeah, and they won the other one. They
Lost even
lost,
worse. Ronaldo and Pogba playing together.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
The
I
thing with
mean,
that system is how City does it is very different because City kind of uses like inverted fullbacks. So the fullbacks cover the spaces in
Yeah.
between. But I don't think if United will do that, they don't have the fullbacks to take in that role. So I don't know how they're going to accommodate two attacking midfielders along with overlapping
I
fullbacks.
personally don't
Who
feel
thinks that United's best formation should be narrow, na?
two probably. So given that we don't have an out and out right winger, it can be an option. But I mean, we have played only one game as for in that formation, so I don't see them implementing that in the long term future as an out and out formation. But it can be for say a specific fixture, or if people are not fit. So just to accommodate the best players, probably once that
So,
can be.
so right now, what do you think is United's strongest formation?
What I feel is, I think it's the it's 4-2-3-1 as when Pogba playing with Matic as a number 8 and Bruno. Right back is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and Lindelof. I know Lindelof. People have little doubts on Lindelof's ability, but I do think that there is a learning curve to a partnership, which I feel is slowly, slightly forming between him and Maguire. And at left back, I do think Luke Shaw can. He still has a lot to prove. So I hope in these 9 games he can.
Okay, so
Okay.
Vinamra, how do you think Ollie's going to take his approach towards Spurs? Because you could see from the other big 6 games, he's always been on the back foot. He's not been overly attacking. So how do you think he's approaching this game in particular?
So I don't know if I'll remember, but I think previously when we played Spurs at home, we did play a back four, and but at the same time, I don't expect him to play a back four. I expect him to play a back five only because everyone is familiar with that role when playing against big 6 sides when you're not expected to have a lot of ball, a lot of the position. Sorry. But I won't be surprised if he plays four to accommodate the best players ahead since Pogba and Marcus Rashford are back. So yeah, I mean, I do feel that 5-3-2 should be the formation since the players are adapted to it. But at the same time, I won't be surprised if they play back four.
And who do you think is taking the DM position right now? Because you all have a good number of midfielders. Your Matic, McTominay, Fred. So who takes that last spot as a sitting midfielder?
So I think as a quick fix, not for the long term, I think Matic suits the role because I've seen a stat where when we play with Matic, the win percentage is very, very high as compared to when we play without him. So I think he is given his experience and given all his he's won a title with Chelsea, so he has a lot of experience in that role. So I do think that for a quick fix, for probably a year more, I do think Matic can play that role. But at the same time, we have a lot of people coming through the ranks. I mean, Scott and Fred, they have put in great performances. And James Garner, an under 23 player who will be slowly integrated into the team. So in that position, there are positive signs. So, but for now, I see Matic playing with Pogba there.
So you mentioned that you all are going to play with 5 at the back. I mean, I don't see a point of you all playing 5 at the back for this game because I mean it's Jose Mourinho. He'll obviously start with a defensive lineup, and then slowly in the second half he'll probably get on an attacker. So I don't see a reason why you should start with 5 at the back, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. But, probably he might line up with 4 as well. But the thing is, you never know now. Now you don't know how this lockdown has implemented the fitness. Although the fitness has improved of the players. So now it depends on getting the balance right. I mean, it's all up to the manager. If he feels that 5 is giving him a better balance to play against Spurs, he will probably play 5. But I I'm not sure. I'm not too sure on which is the best formation right now, given the uncertainty of the fitness as well as basically the uncertainty. Yeah, and I don't know what is the best right now.
But do you feel irritated sometimes by Ollie's underdog approach in every top game, wherein he loves to sit back and
Yeah.
just capitalize on opponents' mistakes or just get a random counter attack and get into the back of the net?
After you'll have quality players to make a game.
So probably not irritated as much as like we're not utilizing what we have. I mean, yeah, I do sometimes feel ki why are we playing so defensive at times, but at the same time, I mean, at least this season it's working. And since Sir Alex has left, I've not seen United dominate games as much as one would like to. So what I feel is since it's working right now, I think he should continue with that. But at the same time, he has to slowly, like with a learning curve, he should get back to domination like we used to before.
So, Manan, how do you think actually Spurs would line up? I mean, considering Kane, Sissoko, Son are all back into the action after injuries, after bans and stuff, how do you think? I mean, Spurs are. I mean, are they evenly balanced? Do you think in this fixture, or they might be favorites or underdogs in this fixture?
I think they might slightly be underdogs in this fixture because, like as you said, Kane, Sissoko, Son, and Bergwijn are back from injury, but you don't know how much they've trained and how much fitness have they regained from the training sessions. So, and as we know, Mourinho is a pragmatic manager. He doesn't make his main players play straight away from the first game. Of course, he'll make Kane and Son play, but I'm not so sure if Sissoko or Bergwijn will play. So, yeah, I feel Spurs will go into the game slightly as underdogs because of United's record this season against the top six teams, and because I feel United has better quality in their team than Spurs had.
Do you think your defense is a liability in any game at this point, not even against United,
Yeah.
but just any game? Because you have four
Yeah,
sort of two aging centre backs, a left back who's not the greatest, and a right back who's more of a right winger than a right back.
yeah. The defense is the biggest issue that Spurs will have to address in the transfer window if they have funds. As you said, the fullback areas in Serge Aurier, he's good going forward, but we all know when it comes to defense, all the fans are like, please don't tackle. And when it comes to Ben Davis, he's a reliable player, but he doesn't give you anything extraordinary as compared to some other small team left back or something like that. And when coming to centre backs, Davinson Sanchez has pace and power, but I think when it comes to decision making, he lets the team and the manager down. And Alderweireld, yeah, as you said, he's aging. So is Vertonghen. I think Vertonghen will leave at the end of the season. So since Alderweireld has signed a new contract, I think he'll be in the back four for the for the Mourinho era. But the other three players they'll have to sign in the transfer window, I feel.
Manny, who do you think is Spurs' best centre back pairing in a two back defense?
In a two back, the best centre back pairing currently would be Alderweireld and Sanchez. I would have said Vertonghen, but Vertonghen is 33 and he's kind of lost his legs. And since his contract is ending, he seems as if he doesn't want to play for the club anymore and all that. Loyalty is kind of going away. So I feel, yeah, currently, like Dyer is being moved into the centre back position, but I never really trusted Dyer ever. So I think
Nobody should also.
Alderweireld, Sanchez, I think. And Tanganga is coming through the ranks and he looks a good prospect. So in the coming years, he might be the next centre back.
Okay, Maran, so my question to you is, how much disappointed are you that Ndombele didn't work out clearly for Spurs in the first season? Like, when he was signed, there was so much hype around him that he was
Too much hype.
Europe's one of the most coveted midfielders, and he did have the talent. He was like the perfect balance between defense, attack, a proper B2B guy. Then, do you think it's because of his fallout with Mourinho, the way Mourinho's treated him, or is it just a case of lack of confidence in him?
I think it's bit of related to the season that Spurs has had. Like after being in the Champions League final, you expected Spurs to push on and go to the next level the next season. But the way they started the season with the draw away to Man City, where Man City had I think 30 shots on target or something, and the loss to Newcastle, and since then they've just been going on a downward spiral.
Bayern Munich.
And the 7-2 loss to Bayern Munich, the League Carabao Cup exit to Colchester. So all the things that have happened when Pochettino was there this season were a negative, and I can see Shastri laughing. But and then in November, of course, Pochettino got sacked. So the players, like you mentioned, Ndombele was brought in by Pochettino to play a different system under him, and we know that Pochettino had a different training regime. Like he used to have 2 or 3 intense training sessions every day, kind of. But then Mourinho came in, and Mourinho is kind of a guy who likes to earn the trust of his players more than he looks at the ability of the player. Like he wants the player to follow his instructions properly than if the player is a world-class player or something. So it took time for Ndombele to get into the mix. But since the lockdown started, I've heard that he obviously broke the lockdown rules and he went with
Yeah, they went
Ndombele
on a
for a
walk.
run and all, whatever. Yeah. So I feel he wants to get the best out of him, and I've been hearing reports that the coaching staff and Marino have been impressed by Ndombele in the training games against Norwich and the friendly. So yeah, I hope that Ndombele. I think it's also because the French league and the English league are far away from each other when you compare
That
the
is true.
styles of
Yeah.
the team. So I think it'll take time for him to settle, but I think he might have a big future.
So, Manan,
Right.
for this particular game against United, what do you feel are the key battles which Spurs have to win? A player v player or an area v area to say win the match? And how do you feel that they should line up or say approach this game, given that it's obviously like it's the first game after lockdown? What are you expecting out of this game as a Spurs fan?
So I was saying, I'm not optimistic for the game because I feel United will end up winning the game because of their big game mentality and stuff. And the battle that I feel Spurs will have to win to try to win the game will be the main one. I feel will be Aurier v Rashford, because in the opposite fixture when United won 2-1, Rashford scored both goals, and if you go to see, he's the main man that Aurier has to mark in terms of his man as a defender and Rashford as an attacker. So I feel if Aurier has a good game against Rashford and he keeps Rashford silent, I think Tottenham's chances of winning will increase quite a lot. And the second battle that I feel Tottenham will have to win, the left winger, either Son or Bergwijn, will have to get the better of Van Bissaka, which is obviously not a easy task, as we've seen with Raheem Sterling and other wingers. But yeah, I feel these two battles will be key for Spurs in the game.
All right, guys, it's time to wrap up. Let's get into predictions. Vedang, what's your take on Arsenal City?
I still predict a comfortable City win, 3-1 for me.
For Arsenal, you're saying?
For City, comfortable City. City is very good.
All right. That's good. Jeet, what's your take on this?
I do see Arsenal putting up a fight, but then City might still edge him. What 2-1, I think.
Manan?
Same. I'm going with 2-1. Narrow win for City.
And Vinamra?
Oh, I think I'll go for the same. I'll go for a 2-1 to City. I do think Arsenal will put up a fight, but I think City's dominance up front will make them win the game 2-1.
I would say City would win a comfortable 2-0 victory over this. I mean, Arsenal's form has been. I mean, Arsenal. It's difficult to say what they come up with, but I'm pretty sure Guardiola will cover them up totally. So let's get into the next game then. Spurs versus United. Vedang, what's your take?
I predict a narrow win to United. I think 1-0 to United.
1-0. Jeet?
I expect a rusty game there because they've got a lot of people coming back from injuries. So probably I'd go with the 2-2 between Spurs and United.
2-2. High scoring game. Manan? Hello,
Um,
Manan?
I'll go for a narrow United victory. 2-1 to United.
2-1 to United, coming from a Spurs fan. All right, United, Vinamra.
I do agree with what Jeet said. I think it's going to be a very, very rusty game. I do expect a lot of goals to go in, so I'm going to go with the 2-2. Yeah, same.
A lot of goals to go in. In my opinion, I would feel it would actually be a 0-0 draw because both sides are defensive. And, it's tough. I mean, for Mourinho especially. I mean, both sides are counter-attacking, so I cannot expect much from counter-attacking teams. All right then. Thanks you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and please follow us on our social. We are a new account. Please follow us, the EPL Showdown on Twitter and the EPL Radio on Instagram. Thanks. Bye.
Bye guys. Bye guys. See you all.
Bye.
Bye guys. Bye bye.
Bye.